Well, Razorback fans, if you haven't figured it out just yet, you have a men's basketball coach, head coach that is a coach who happens to be a celebrity. How does that impact you, though?
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome into the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I am your host, John Nabors. I am also the host of the John Nabors Show, which you can catch every weekday afternoon from 4 to 6 on Natty State Sports and nattystatesports.com. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more, where right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 with any winning $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Hope everybody's having a wonderful Thursday, as I know we'll talk a little bit about the baseball side of things. And in fact, maybe by the time you're listening to this podcast, Game 2 has already ended. But we'll talk about that here in just a little bit. I wanted to bring up basketball because as of right now, it's pretty quiet for Razorback basketball. They have yet to add some players into the mix for a little bit now. And it seemed like we almost got spoiled with the amount of players that they kept adding. Now, the transfer portal, high school class, whatever it was, it kind of slowed down a little bit. So people are concerned for whatever reason. I'm not concerned until there's a reason to be concerned. And right now, there's not a reason to be concerned. So that being said, though, like Calipari, I talked about this on my show yesterday about how he has just got this whole thing about him. Like it just this status, this larger than life type of feel to him. And it's not like I just figured it out. I've known it. But it's different whenever you see that type of coach with that type of, pedestal that he has under him. To see him as the coach that you follow the most, as part of your school, and actually see it in action. It's amazing that Calipari's been the head coach of Arkansas just for a little over a month. And I've watched him whenever I, see him on social media or anything that he's done. And it's been pretty interesting by and large. But the thing is that he is a celebrity. He is a celebrity, plain and simple. He is a celebrity that just happens to be a college basketball coach. Now, if you need any more evidence of this, just here over the past 24 to 48 hours, this is the type of thing that John Calipari has posted on his social media. For instance, he had this picture. He posted this picture. His tweet says, yesterday started in New York City with the BTIG Charity Day, helping raise a bunch of money. Then we stopped to see the team at Summit Golf Brands. Finished the day with Arkansas's own 42nd president, Bill Clinton, and unbelievable friends Drew Katz, Brian France, and John Randall Tyson. All right, that was, actually, I shouldn't even say 24 to 48 hours. This has been in the past 24 hours. Just a casual picture with him and Bill Clinton, a couple other guys, John Randall Tyson, shout out to JRT. And yeah, just casually posting on that. Pretty impressive, say so. But then he decides, you know what? It's not enough. I gotta post one more. How about this one? Oh yeah, you guys who are watching on YouTube, you know who that is. John Calipari tweets out with this one. The McClendon Leadership Initiative received an award from the SBJ tonight after I met up with Derek Jeter, who is not only the best, one of the best leaders, winners, and baseball players of all time, he's also a great guy. Had a great conversation. So just casually, John Calipari has posted pictures where he was at an event where he met former president of the United States, Bill Clinton, and arguably one of the greatest baseball players of all time, if not at least the most recognizable and generational type of larger-than-life baseball players in Derek Jeter. Not to turn into a baseball debate, because I know people are going to be like, oh my gosh, you think... Hey, Whenever I see Gatorade commercials, those usually give you a good idea of who's on like the iconic level. It's like, you think about Jordan, think about Peyton Manning, think about Derek Jeter, think about Kobe Bryant. Like, yeah, I mean, those are the ones. So that's all I'm going with. But it doesn't matter. Big time celebrities. And I'm not going to take it like some people do, where they're like almost making and taking digs at Eric Musselman. They'd be like, oh, no, we thought Eric Musselman hung out with big time celebrities. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, well, he's nothing compared to this. It's like, relax, okay? Like, you don't have to take it to the level of that. It's not a, measuring competition when it comes to who can get better pictures with celebrities, because at the end of the day, nobody cares as long as you win games. But it is pretty amazing, though, to see Cal and just how he has this aura around him. He had pictures with the Stevens and had pictures with Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Hold your comments. He had pictures with people that are just friends of his, and then he had pictures with former players, coaches. He had Nick Smith Jr. stop by. The thing is, I just keep seeing all of those, and this is just in the time that he's been an Arkansas coach for a little over a month. The impact that Cal has in the stratosphere of being above and beyond the game itself is a pretty wild thing that Arkansas fans are going to have to get used to. I'm going to have to get used to it. I was thinking about the other day, man, I haven't seen much from Cal as far as him being out and about with the fans. I know he went on that road show, but I haven't seen a whole lot of him wearing Razorback apparel, or, maybe, this thing with Derek Jeter, he's wearing a blue tie. Don't like that. But, and then I stopped myself. I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing? Why would I care about that? Why should I care about any of that? You have a coach who is getting pictures with Derek Jeter, and my response, or maybe what some people were responding with, is like, that's cool and all, but where's your red tie? That's not how it needs to be. It doesn't need to be that way. It's John Calipari. He's larger than the school itself. Whether you want to hear it or not, he is. And if you need a prime example of that, it's like I've talked about when he was at Kentucky. Kentucky didn't make Cal. Cal made Kentucky. Kentucky had not been relevant in quite some time at the national level. Tubby Smith won a title in '98 with a bunch of Patino players. And since that point in time, they had some here and there years, and they hired Billy Clyde Gillespie, blah, blah, blah. If they hadn't hired John Calipari, they may be as irrelevant as a program like in Indiana. When I say irrelevant, I'm not talking about just, being the doormat of the conference. I'm talking about once a very proud blue-blooded program has struggled to find its footing. I believe that. And so I never want to be looking at myself as what so many of the Kentucky people looked at themselves as. Well, we're the mecca of college basketball. Cal came here because of the Kentucky lured him to. Okay, if that's what you want to believe, fine. Kentucky's a great basketball program. And before Kentucky fans come after me in the mentions, Kentucky's a better basketball program than Arkansas. I'm not debating that. But again, if you just understand how important it is to have John Calipari as your head coach, not just about what happens on the court and the type of players he gets, but just the overall status that it brings. So what if it's not exactly how you want it to be? So what if he's not exactly going out there and when he's hanging out with Derek Jeter, he's teaching him how to call the hogs? Who cares? What matters is he's the coach that has a larger-than-life presence that's able to sell that to high-quality players and bring a lot, and I mean a lot, of attention to you, to your program, in the best of ways. That's what's real. So I bring all that up just to say it's a new type of coach we're going to have to deal with. And when I mean deal with it, I mean it in a good way. Muss was a different coach. Completely different coach. Every single time it felt like people always yearn for the Nolan Richardson days, and that's why you hired Mike Anderson, which I was for. But at some point in time, you had to move on. And hiring Muss is what helped you move on. And now you have Calipari. Dude's got 1.5 million followers on Twitter. Not that that's like a huge status thing, but still a pretty big deal. It's a bigger deal than maybe what you want to give her credit for. But just let him do his thing. Let him be the celebrity. Let him take pictures with Derek Jeter. Let him wear what he wants. Let him handle it the way he wants. Let him do whatever he wants. Because at the end of the day, no one, and I mean no one's going to care if Arkansas is hoisting that national championship trophy or going to a Final Four. No one's going to care about that one time he got a picture with Derek Jeter and wasn't wearing a blue tie. Or was wearing a blue tie, not a red tie. No one's going to care. And if you do care, you're wrong for it. Just saying. Folks, wouldn't it be great if you could see all of your investment and retirement accounts in one place? Well, with Yahoo Finance, you can consolidate your views from multiple accounts into one hub and access the expert analysis you need to tend to your entire portfolio with confidence. And when it comes to your financial future, you think you've done it all. You've saved, you've researched, you've invested all that you can. And now you need to take those investments to the next level by using what every financial great uses, and that's Yahoo Finance. For more than 25 years, Yahoo Finance has been the brand behind every great investor. Whether you're a seasoned investor or looking for that extra guidance, Yahoo Finance gives you the tools and data you need all in one place. They are the #1 finance destination, producing a holistic look at the financial news cycle, including breaking news, original editorial perspectives, analyst ratings, independent research, customizable charts, and so much more. And with a community over 90 million users each month, their real strength is helping you on your way to financial success. For comprehensive financial news and analysis, visit the brand behind every great investor. It's yahoofinance.com, the #1 financial destination, yahoofinance.com. That's yahoofinance.com.
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, so moving on into the next segment of the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Depending on the time that you listen to this podcast, it may not be as relevant, but Arkansas baseball did play in their very first SEC tournament game against South Carolina yesterday. They will be playing against Kentucky in the early part of the morning in the losers bracket because they lost to South Carolina by a final score of 6-5. Now, I watched this game, as a lot of you did, and I'm going to talk about the reactions that some fans can have. But I watched this game, and it was frustrating for really two reasons. Two main reasons, at least. One, you had old boy Messina for South Carolina just go yard. He had 2 home runs in this game, had 5 RBIs. So the 6 runs that were scored by South Carolina, 5 of them are by this one individual, this one guy. He went 3 for 5 with 2 home runs, as well as 2 singles and a double, I believe. Either way, dude was killing it. So that's one of the reasons why you lost. But also, the more frustrating part of it was the way Arkansas could once again not get guys home, not score the base runners. 10 left on base for Arkansas in this game. 10 of them. Now, shout out to Peyton Stovall. The dude's killing it. Peyton Stovall's awesome right now, and he needs to get a lot of credit for it, folks. People like crap on the hitting, and there's plenty of criticism, but Peyton Stovall right now is hitting .353. And in this game, he went 3 for 5 with 2 doubles, as well as an RBI and a run scored. He was great. I think Ben McLaughlin did a good job. 2 hits with 2 for 3. Also had 2 RBIs. He did a nice job too. Arkansas got 9 hits in this game, folks. 9 hits. But you left 10 on base. And the way that the game ended where Arkansas was in a position to where they could have walked off the game or at least tied it to go to extra innings. Arkansas is down by one. Down by one. They have runners at first and second with no outs. And they can't score another run. Well, I guess there was one out. Yeah, there's one out. Can't score a run. Now, I know the SEC tournament doesn't matter big time as far as the success of the team or lack thereof. Like, I understand that. I've said it. And if Arkansas goes 0-2 in barbecue, then whatever. It's about what you do in the regionals, supers, and getting to the World Series. That's what matters. SEC tournament does not. So, knowing about all of that, it's not that you lost the game. It's just how you lost it that really irks me. It's the same thing. And it's worrisome. It can be worrisome. But then at the other side of it, too, there was some things that I did like in this game that I think can be really helpful for Arkansas once you start to see the regionals and hopefully, Lord willing, the super regionals take place. Like, for instance, I thought Fouch was incredible when he came in for relief for Bybee. Bybee struggled, but Fouch was great. I thought Jake Faraday, not only when this game was really good, but he's had a few games now in a row that he's come in and has been really good. And Gabe Gackle played really well, too. He's a great pitcher, too. The only problem was that he gave up that home run to old Messina, which I think everybody was giving up home runs to Messina, it seems like. But besides that, he did a pretty good job. He had 40 pitches, had 3 strikeouts. So, point is, I thought some of the guys that came in and helped out in the pitching side of things was good. I think Stovall's been great. It's good to see Diggs get back into the feel of things and get into double. But as much as there is stuff to be excited about, there's still those concerns. But let's see what they do against Kentucky. Like, whatever. You know, if they lose, that's fine. Whatever. Get out of there. Get out of there healthy. That's the most important thing. Get out of there healthy and get to the point to where you can actually start, you know, making some moves and feeling confident going into the regionals, because that's when it's go time. And I got a little something to say for the Razorback fans out there in just a second. But, folks, it's a winner-take-all time in the NBA and NHL, and FanDuel is giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on your spreads, on your money lines, on your player props, and so much more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make every playoff shot count. It's FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook.
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, so final segment here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I talked about baseball just a little bit ago and was talking about the criticisms that I have and maybe some of the things that could be worrisome and everything. But I want fans to really do me a favor, as if you will do it, because I know you won't. You're probably going to yell at me. But just asking for a favor, please. Can you just keep it in perspective? Yes, Arkansas lost that game to South Carolina in a frustrating way. It was the SEC tournament. They were pitching guys that they just want to get reps. They lost in a way that they've lost so many times when they have runners in scoring position and they can't bring them home. I get that. That's okay to be frustrated by that. But what's not okay is to say, this team's cooked, this team sucks, they're not going anywhere, going into the regionals, I have zero confidence that they can get to Omaha, blah, blah, blah. It's just so infuriating. It's infuriating. Now, you can have it both ways, folks. You can go somewhere in the middle where you can still be optimistic, still feel good about your team winning the SEC West, winning 20 SEC games, 40-plus wins. You can feel good about that while also still being critical of certain times and certain junctures of the team and in the games. 100%. But this idea that all you've seen this year, and again, winning the West, winning 20 SEC games, going to be a national seed, 4, 5, 6 seeds, somewhere in there, a national seed. To just go from taking all of that and like crumpling it up and throwing it in the trash, is like, doesn't matter. They suck. This team sucks. No good. No, we're never going to be a real serious program. This is just another banner year for Arkansas Athletics. Blah, blah. Like, shut up. My goodness. Listen, I don't know if Arkansas is going to make it to Omaha this year. They may not. But this idea that it just, you can't just be mildly critical while also understanding how good this team is a weird imbalance that some of you can't grasp. Here's the thing. In 2018 and in 2022, 2 years that Arkansas made the College World Series, those were the lowest win totals they had in SEC play. Okay? Now, I know that they were a national seed in 2018, but in 2022, they were not. And guess what happened? They made the World Series. That team couldn't even host a regional, couldn't even be a top 16 seed. And they went to the World Series. So before you just talk about how this team sucks or whatever, keep that in perspective. Please, I beg you. Just do that. When the season officially comes to an end, then we can talk, then we can go back, then we can criticize. But for so many of you to just be like writing them off completely when it's almost like you have not seen what's happened this year is just a weird thing that I will never understand. Be critical, be frustrated, but be reasonable. Please. I know you're not going to, but I'm just throwing it out there just in case, just as a friendly reminder. Appreciate everybody listening in to Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or on Google Play. You can also get after me on Twitter at John Nabors Show for any questions, comments, concerns that you may have. We'll keep it going from there. Same podcast time, same podcast channel tomorrow afternoon. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you.